What is up, YouTube? Bobbles and Ball Cards back with another video. It is Wednesday. We are midway through the week, December 14th, midway through the month, almost done with 2022. 11 days until the big man comes. Christmas is approaching quickly. Weather's getting cold out there. Supposed to have some ice tonight, but I hope everybody is doing well. Fun little discussion I want to have right here. It ties in with some stuff that's been discussed recently, both earlier in the week on my channel when I was live, as well as obviously Mike on Bench Clear. I know Retro Hoops did a video. Neo did a video talking about pricing. There's several videos out right now discussing pricing, and SGC, PSA, and all this other stuff. So here is something that happened this morning, and it got me really curious, but really it's a huge example that shows a couple different things. And I want to get into it, but first off, I want to go ahead and give J-Max Sports Cards a big thank you, and to anybody that watches his channel and watched his video where he did his top 10 favorite YouTube channels. I guess you guys told him that you enjoyed mine. I really appreciate that. I was kind of surprised to be the viewer suggested. So thank you to him. Thank you to everybody that mentioned me to get put into that area. That's very humbling to know that there's folks out there that really do enjoy as much to go and mention the name elsewhere. I know I watched his video. He said he didn't realize that he'd seen me live, but he didn't realize I had a channel. That's my own fault. I know at times, even with the group subs, I know, a lot of it is just the advertising and putting it all out there and stuff. And, I do it and I have a lot of fun. But I've told you guys, the algorithm and getting known and out there in the webverse, as you call it, I'm not too great at that. So anyway, I'm glad those that do watch and enjoy mentioned it, and I appreciate all of you. I know not everybody has Instagram. They don't see the gem rate data. A lot of people might not be following it. If you're not, go follow him. It's a lot of interesting data. It's tied to just graded cards. So if you're not into grading at all, you might just be like, well, what does this matter? But it kind of shows, a little deep dive with numbers, nerdy numbers, and where the hobby is and like what people are doing and trends and that sort of thing. And it's just kind of fun to look at. I really enjoy it when he puts it out. Appreciate that he does it a lot. It's kind of what made me think about, looking at the tag stuff, because it just interested me. How much, what is their capacity? How many are they doing? That sort of thing. So anyway, this is the November numbers here. This is the total graded for the month of November. You see PSA, he groups both CSG and CGC together. So they did 133,000, SGC did 70, Beckett did 50,000. So that's like your total number. And then he goes over here and he'll break it down. This is sports and miscellaneous. So you can see here at readjust, SGC was number 2 because they do a lot more sports than they do TCG and stuff, non-sport stuff. So they were in there and number 2 there. And then you go over here to the TCG non-sport, you see they fall down to 4, and because they that's not their most demanded thing. So then he gets in and he does some other things. He does it in like a different graph, so you can kind of see items graded by month in 2022. It's broken down month by month. You can kind of see patterns and trends here. And this doesn't have PSA. But you see the others and what they've done. Here it's by category, like, TCG, it says 389,500. because this is in thousands, is what PSA did for the month. SGC did 2,000. Then you can see it broken down, like what sport is popular, etc. Then over here is, TCG cards in thousands just by PSA. You can see the growth and how much, TCG has grown. It's real interesting if you go back and look at his really early posts back in 2021 and then how much they're doing today. It's insane to see the growth of TCG. All right, here is the percentage of grades by era. Now, what this means is out of the 994,000 cards, PSA did 42% of that was for 2020, 2021, 2022, and then I guess if there's anything that's deemed 2023 yet, 17.1% of that was 2010s, and then so on and so on. SGC, you see they did 41.5%, so very comparable to PSA here for the 2020s stuff. 12.8% was 2010s. So this really intrigued me. Then if you go over here, it will show you the gem rates, but in order to do that, you need to calculate these numbers first to kind of give you an idea like how many were 2020s, and then take that number and then use this number to get, how many actually gemmed. So why am I doing this? Why do I care? Well, there's been a lot of talk lately with, the talk that's been going on forever. The PSA versus SGC versus Beckett, blah, blah, blah. The grading prices. And a lot of folks, and it's not necessarily wrong, but a lot of folks are saying that the resale value is the key cog in why PSA gets as many cards as they do. And that'll never change unless the pricing changes and all that. And I would agree, the resale is an important piece because when people are selling cards, obviously, they're trying to get money out of it. And a lot of people want to go to PSA and use it for the top dollar. Now, I've done some research here to kind of put into, say, it's not just about the resale, because there's some things that we're going to look at in a little bit to kind of share otherwise. Now, I think it's also a bit just about simply label, and let me show you why and what made me dig all this up and be a nerd and write all these numbers down or whatever. But here is a 2020 Upper Deck Young Guns, Bowen Byram. He is a defenseman for the Colorado Avalanche. They just won the Stanley Cup last year. And his PSA card, the last two sales on December 13th, yesterday, there was two sold at auction. One did $63 plus shipping. The other did $56 plus shipping. Okay. Not bad. About 60 bucks, right? If you go over here to SGC, the last one it shows sold on eBay, and this is something I'm not even getting tinfoil hattish, but October 28th, it shows a SGC 10 Gem Mint sold for $63 plus shipping. So let's go and scroll back to give a fair comparison and look at around that date. You will see here October 26th, a PSA did 106. October 30th, one did 115.93. So, if we go with the 106, the SGC sold for roughly 60% of what the PSA did. Okay, well, that's what people say. If you use SGC, you're only going to get about 60% of the value, 70%, and that seems to be the case when it comes Gem Mint versus Gem Mint. But what about pristine? Because this is where label simply comes into play. What does a pristine do? Well, let's look back up here, and we're at 56 and 63, right? And there's so much knock about SGC. The slab's ugly, it's too bulky, the label looks like a kindergartner did it, blah, 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 right? But did you know if you put gold foil around the border of that label, oh my God, did you know? Holy smokes, look at this, $150, and you have received payment for this item. Now, I don't want a tinfoil hat. I don't know why it's not showing up here, But if you go to Terapeak, it is right here, $150, sold on December 14th. I sold the card this morning and shipped it out on its merry way. Maybe because it is going, it has to go through the International Global Shipping Program. Maybe eBay has to verify. I don't know. Maybe things are delayed. I don't know. But the item was sold. It was shipped out. In fact, if y'all want to see, I will show you real quick here. Orders, paid and shipped. And right here, paid and shipped to Mr. Andrew L. Chang, and it was shipped via the international, the global shipping program. So, 150 for a gold label, whereas a PSA 10 did, let's call it $60. So what is this telling us? This tells us that it's purely about the label. I love SGC to death. I love the company. I think their grading is very accurate. I think they're very consistent. But I would be sitting here lying to you. I would be sitting here 100% lying bold-faced to everybody listening right now if I said that I was confident that if I cracked that gold label and sent it back in again, that it would get a gold label. There is such minor differences between a gem mint card and a pristine card that likely, if we looked at it side by side, put a SGC 10 and an SGC pristine next to each other, it would be such a little detail to take into account that I don't know that it could be consistent enough if it was cracked and sent back in to get a gold label again. Could it get gem mint? Absolutely. Do I think it would get a gold label? I would be lying if I said yes. They would probably even admit it would be tough to consistently grade a raw card over and over and over if it had been sent in over and over and over with a gold label. Now, I also want to tell you, I think that the gold labels are a lot tougher to get than they used to be. When I started grading with SGC, the video is it's still on my channel. My first return, 110 cards, I got 13 gold labels. My second order, 110 cards, it was either 5 or 8, I can't remember. Third order was 120 cards, and I got, somewhere between 3 and 5 or something like that. Since becoming a bulk submitter, we have sent them thousands of cards. I have sent my personal cards in all but maybe 4 orders since the time we've started. I've gotten 2 gold labels. 2. We have not gotten a gold label in months in an order. And you're talking, 30, 40, 50 plus different people sending cards in. All different people examining their cards, handling their cards differently, opening different packs, buying different raw cards, buying from different shows. And we haven't gotten a gold label in months. My first order, and I said in the video, I didn't even really look the cards over that well. I got 13 gold labels. My point here is, I don't think that they just slap them on whenever, but I think to 100% say that a card is perfect is really difficult to do. It's easy for us to inspect a card, preview it, pre-screen it, look it over, send it in, know their grading scale, and say, all right, I'm confident this is a 10. A gem mint 10. But there's no way in hell I could sit here today and look cards over and tell you, this is a gold label. If I did the pre-screen service, there is not a chance in hell I would ever tell somebody, your card is a 10. Gold label. I would say, hey, I feel confident this is a 10 gem mint, but I would never, ever, ever say this is a gold label. So we as the hobby, we love getting gold labels. They're exciting. But at the end of the day, what is the odds that it is truly that much better than a Gem Mint 10? What is, if I sent that back in and knowing that it likely would not get that pristine grade again, is it truly just a matter of excitement because it's got that special label on it? Because let's remember, PSA doesn't have Gem Mint 10, and they're taking such a large portion of the ultramodern cards in that many of the cards in a PSA 10 slab could be deemed a pristine SGC. But who is going, like Mike said, who is going to crack their PSA 10s out to send to SGC to try it? The same thing with a Beckett Black Label. They're not easy to get. They're unicorns. You don't see them. The 10s, the pristine 10s from BGS, you don't see a lot of those. So, it's simply just paying a premium then on a label. So then why would SGC 10s, if the pristine is so much more, why is the Gem Mint so much less? Because I want to show you guys something. I wanted to do graphs to show this, but I didn't. I did it this way just so you guys could see as I go along here. In the month of November, PSA graded 994,000 cards. 587,454 were from 2020 and 2010. I'm going off of this right here, taking these numbers and using these percentages to get those numbers. 417,480 were 2020s, 42%. As you see here, 42%. And then 169,974, or 17.1%, was from the 2010s. Then I took this and went to the gem rate, and I calculated that 231,284 cards from 2020s got Gem Mint 10 grades. 80,398 from the 2010s got Gem Mint grades. That means that a total of 311,682 cards from 2010s and 2020s got Gem Mint 10s for the month of November. You can take this number and then this number, and it comes to 53% gem rate. Okay? Then I went and did this for SGC. SGC did 70,000 total cards. 38,010 cards were from 2020s and 2010s. 29,050 of them, or 41.5%, were from 2020s. 8,960, or 12.8%, were from 2010s. Now, keep in mind, you look at this, 42%, 41.5%. The overall percentage of what they're doing is very similar. They're both getting a lot of 2020s cards, 41.5 to 42%. On the 2010s, it was 12.8% to 17.1%. So PSA got slightly more 2010s. All right, so 8,960, or 12.8%, were 2010s. Equal up the 38,010 cards. 9,325 cards were 2020s Gem Mint 10 and pristine because it combines the two. 2,518 cards were 2010s Gem Mint 10s and pristines for a total of 11,843 total Gem Mint 10 and pristine. 31% gem rate for the 2020s and 2010s. Gem rate and pristine combined, 31%. So SGC had a 31% gem rate for those two eras. PSA has a 53% gem rate for those two eras. So when people say, well, it's simply the resale value, PSA sells for more. Well, do you not think it also has something to do with a 22% higher gem rate? Like, not only do you make more money when you sell a Gem Mint copy, but it's 22% easier to get that gem mint grade from PSA, right? So is it solely the resale PSA? And why are people paying 40% more for gem mint cards that are easier to get? Now, what does that look like? Let's pretend here. So I said, all right, what if SGC did 994,000 cards? So, obviously numbers are going to change a little bit, but I used the numbers that I got from the examples there. So 994,000 divided by 70,000 is 14.2. So I took SGC's total number of 2020s and 2010s, multiplied it by 14.2. It gave me 539,742 cards, which still under what PSA got, but fairly close. But 539,742. Using the 31% gem rate, it would give you 167,320 gem mint or pristine cards. That comes out to 144,362 less gem mint cards than PSA did. Just simply because of the percentage of gem rate, nearly half the amount of gem mint 10s that PSA does each month. Nearly half. But yet people want to pay nearly twice as much for a gem mint card or a gem mint label that is nearly twice as easy to get. You put that gold label on, they will pay for it. 2.5 to 3 times more the PSA 10 price. You put the 10, the regular gem mint label on, suddenly it becomes only 60% value of the PSA card. The PSA label. That's nearly twice as easy to get. That's all I got for you guys. Comment below, tell me how this makes sense, because I don't get it. I really don't. And again, the argument of until the prices change, none of it's ever going to matter. You're right. I think it factors into two things. People are paying more for PSA, but it's also way the hell easier to get a PSA 10. Point blank and simple. I think it's the same issue that CSG is having right now. They're struggling because they don't give 10s. The card has to earn a 10. And I just think, folks want the easiest grade that sells for the most money. It's not just simply the resale value. It's the easiest grade that sells for the most money. So that's all I got for you guys. I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday evening. Sorry this went a little bit longer, but I wanted to make sure I explained everything. Again, shout out to JMac. Shout out to everybody that mentioned me. Shout out to all the folks that watch, like, subscribe, comment, all of that. I appreciate all of you. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and until the next video, I'm out.